Hi everyone, it's Joe here from Lawn Solutions Australia for this edition of Turf Talk, where we're talking all things turf, all things grass, and what's going on in our world at the moment. I'm lucky again to be joined by my colleague Nathan Edwards. Nathan, how you going?
Good, Joe. Good to be here. Thanks, mate. I do think I'm probably your favourite colleague, even though you won't admit it. Easily. Good to hear. So we're here today to talk about autumn lawn care. We're heading into the long weekend, Easter long weekend. So it's a great time to look at getting applications in, your fertiliser application. And pre-emergence as well, important time to stop your winter weeds like wintergrass coming through during the winter period. Also looking at colour retention with products like Colour Guard Plus that are pigment-based products that will help keep your lawn green throughout the winter period. So kicking it off, Joe, grubs or armyworm, definitely prevalent. We've seen some cases of it. So what do we need to do?
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of this lately. We call it armyworm down here. I think it's lawn grub is the common term in Queensland. That could be wrong, but we're seeing them a lot at the moment. There is a name for a certain armyworm called fall armyworm, where fall, obviously the US term for autumn. So we do see them this time of year, but we have been inundated with inquiries of just poor people that had their lawns absolutely decimated. And they call them armyworm because they march like an army and they literally march through your lawn. We're seeing beautiful green lawns look like they've been sprayed with Roundup over a weekend. It's crazy. So it's a real issue. So if you do have that situation in your lawn currently where you can't explain it, it's just died super, super quick, chances are it's armyworm. If you've got a patch that's quickly spreading, that doesn't look good, chances are it's armyworm or another type of lawn grub or pest. There's a couple of ways you can test that are really easy to do. You can get a bucket full of warm soapy water, just dishwashing liquid, and pour it on an affected area or on the edge of an affected area. The grubs will literally come to the surface within a matter of minutes. It's probably best to do that at dusk. They feed at dusk. And another trick you can do is just get a towel, dunk it in water, lay it on your lawn where you think they might be, leave it overnight, lift the towel up in the morning. If there's grubs, they will be under there. So the important thing, I guess, to do is to get on top of it straight away by spraying an insecticide or a pesticide. We have Battle insecticide, which has the active ingredient bifenthrin. Regardless of what product you're choosing, if you're looking to knock them down, it's best to get something that has bifenthrin as the active. It's safe enough to use and it's really, really effective. Sorry, it feels like the roof's about to come in with a bit of thunder outside at the moment. But use a knockdown insecticide like Battle to kill them straight away. And you will notice, particularly if they're armyworm, because they're feeding on the leaf, they will die and come to the surface quite quickly, so you'll know straight away.
Yeah, I think we had about 3 or 4 inquiries just gone recently, all in a row. weren't sure what was going on with it. One of the pictures actually had an armyworm in the photo and they weren't sure what was going on with it. They do come out, they come to the surface to breathe, particularly in dusk. So yeah, be wary of it at the moment. If your lawn's turned really quickly, that's generally the cause. Yeah.
And the other factor why they're so bad at the moment, other than the time of year, is we've had a pretty good growing season for the last 2 months. So grasses are really green, really healthy. They've got plenty of nutrient. They've got plenty of water. There's a saying with grubs that they eat the best and leave the rest. So they're coming straight to the good lawns and they're absolutely decimating them. So after you spray a knockdown like Battle, something with bifenthrin in it, it's really, really important that you get a preventative insecticide onto it straight away. There's 2 products out there. One's a Celiprin GR. The GR stands for granule, so it's a granular Celiprin. And the other's Grub Guard Ultimate. Same product, different packaging, different sizing. But what you get out of a Celiprin or Grub Guard Ultimate is you get 6 months protection from future grub attacks. So it's insurance in a way for your lawn against grubs. There is some knockdown effectiveness.
Yeah, you can use it as a curative action. If you leave it for 24 hours before you water it in, it'll certainly go to work on what's present in the lawn at that point in time. But if you've got an armyworm infestation, it's really important you get rid of them as soon as possible because they can do so much damage so quickly. Lawn grubs, you've got a little bit more time. They're a little bit slower during an infestation, so you can use a Celiprin-based products like Grub Guard Ultimate to treat them and for ongoing protection. But yeah, if in doubt, certainly hit them with something that's upfront, like a bifenthrin-based product that's going to knock them out.
And the good thing about a Celiprin and Grub Guard Ultimate is they're exempt from poison scheduling, so they're really, really safe to use. Most of the products you can buy off the shelf now are obviously pretty safe, but a Celiprin, part of its its appeal other than its effectiveness is how safe it is. There isn't actually any PPE required at all, I don't think, on the label.
And bees and other non-target organisms are safe with this insecticide, which is rare with a lot of insecticides. They can be pretty broad. So a cellepin-based technology or chlorantraniliprole or however you say it.
That sounded good to me.
That active is quite safe to use.
All right, so that's grubs. Just be vigilant, be aware, and just if you do have them and they have done damage and you've treated them, it's the next step is to get onto lawn repair. You've still got a couple of weeks, months before it gets too cold in most climates, so it's important you get onto this straight away. Now, if your lawn's totally decimated, don't fertilise straight away. Just irrigate and continue to sort of monitor it. And once you get sort of 50 to 60% green cover back, then begin to fertilise. There's no point fertilising when your lawn's totally stark dead because there isn't a lot of matter there. But if it's a variety like Tiff Tufts or Walter DNA, something like that, it will come back. So just be patient, 50 to 60% green cover, and then get the fertiliser onto it as well. I think it's a pretty important
dead debris or eaten material in the profile, if you can rake that out, get as much air in there and light as possible so that the healthy green grass can grow back over, get it repairing, and then after a few weeks you can, once you've got that repair going, you can give it a hit with fertiliser.
So further from grubs, just with the recent weather, I don't know if you can pick it up on the mics, but we're getting a bit of a storm outside at the moment. We've had quite humid conditions lately. It's been warm. We've had pretty consistent rainfall. When I say we're a couple of hours south of Sydney on the south coast of New South Wales, and it's been good grass growing weather. But when you get humidity, you get heat, you get a bit of moisture in the air, fungus can be an issue, or a bit of disease can be an issue. Now, we've seen a little bit of this lately. There's a bunch of different types that you can get, but we're just going to generalise them now and call them lawn disease. Pretty important thing to look out for. You will see your leaves start to discolour. You'll get spots on your leaves. Your grass will start to go brown in patches. You might get some mushroom activity. You might get weird circle shapes on your lawn. There's a bunch of different types of lawn disease. If you're unsure what it is, you can jump on our website or use our Lawn Solutions app and you can diagnose them yourself. But we'll generalise them here. So if you do have some disease, there's two really important things you need to do. You need to treat it. You need to get a fungicide like Mancozeb onto it straight away. There's a bunch of different fungicides out there that are great. Mancozeb's a good general purpose fungicide that's safe and easy to use. Put that onto it straight away. But what I'd encourage people to do is to try and dry their lawn out a bit as much as possible because this extra moisture and humidity, this creates these problems. So once you treat it with a fungicide, it's really important to probably turn the sprinklers off for 7 to 10 days, really dry your lawn out so you can get on top of that fungus, and then you can move on to repairing your lawn.
We get a lot of people wanting to chuck fungicides at their lawns instead of looking at as well at the cause of the issue. I think it's really important to aerate, back off the water, and hopefully, obviously, with a change in seasonal conditions, that'll improve the lawn a lot. But if you don't get rid of that initial cause of it, you're going to have continued problems. The fungicide will certainly treat what's there, but it'll just keep coming back and you'll continue to have issues. So you're looking for things like grey leaf spot, rust, mildew on the leaf, things that are disease symptoms that you're going to be looking out for, or a deterioration in the lawn. One thing we have noticed actually recently is some people have had what's called spider mites. It sort of looks like mycelium, which is sort of the fungus or disease that you sometimes see, but it's actually little webs from the mites that will need identifying separately, and it will need treatment with a different product. Rather than a fungicide, it needs a miticide or a miticide. Sometimes if you're not sure what you've got there, we're always here to send us some photos and we can try and identify it for you so that you're putting the right product or right treatment on it.
If it is a mite, like Nathan's mentioning, you will be able to see by the morphology of your grass actually changes. They call it witch's broom, where the shape of the leaf gets quite big and quite thick, and it actually kind of looks like a witch's broom. When we talk miticides or miticides, potato, Agador, Thumper, there's a couple of good ones out there on the market that you can get on and treat these mites straight away. But again, with grubs, same thing as with grubs is just to keep an eye out for it, try and identify it, and a combination of chemical but also cultural practices are really important to getting on top of this. Moving away from, I guess, the common issues, we're getting late March now when we're talking, so the weather is beginning to cool slightly, so we've got to start getting our lawn ready for winter. We call it autumn lawn care, but it really is about prepping the lawn for the cool months ahead as it goes into hibernation in most areas.
It's probably the most important time of the year, I guess, to get your lawn as healthy as absolutely possible before it does go into a certain level of dormancy, depending on where you are. Further north you are, obviously the lawn's going to go not as dormant as probably in Victoria, and depending on the turf variety that you have as well. Obviously, if it's a warm season variety, it's going to go dormant, whereas the cool season grasses keep growing throughout the winter period. So now's the time where we can do as much as we can to get it as healthy as possible.
Before we talk products, we're going to talk a couple of cultural practices that you can do to really improve your lawn this time of year, getting it ready for winter. Yes, we can combine two of these, and that's removing the leaves off your lawn. Obviously, we're coming into autumn now. Deciduous trees are going to start dropping leaves. It's really important you're diligent and you're picking leaves up off your lawn. You don't have to get out there with a rake all the time. Get the mower and the catcher and run the mower over it, and that'll pick up most of these leaves most of the time. Combining that with pruning your trees back, both of these are looking to get the same result. We're trying to get more light in before we get into winter. I know daylight savings finishes soon, so we're naturally getting towards this time of year where light is getting less and less. So it is important to maximise what we do get by removing trees, pruning back them hedges and keeping them leaves and debris off your lawn. Combining that with raising the cut height. This depends. Like if you're a fanatic and you're cutting at 10 mil and you're mowing 3 times a week, you can get good winter colour by keeping a lawn short, no dramas at all. But if your lawns are just something that you get to when you can and you're a bit more of a run-of-the-mill lawn user, I'd pick the notch up. Pick the notch up's a bad way to put it. I'd raise the height of your mower a couple of notches just to leave a little bit more leaf to attract a little bit more sunlight.
Yeah, and it's the same thing in summer. I guess some people get a little bit confused. The advice at times is to raise your mowing height during the absolute height of summer to protect it, help it retain some moisture. It's the same thing basically leading into winter. You're trying to protect the lawn from the elements. So that might mean raising the height leading into the winter. It might mean raising it during summer. It's all about being reactive, I guess, to the conditions. And if you've got a comfortable height where your lawn looks healthy, keep it at the same height. Absolutely. It sometimes can be the better option. Raising your height is just a generalized thing that can work for the majority of lawns.
Sure. Moving on to products, I think the main one this time of year would be getting people to be aware to put their pre-emergence out. Look, in the cooler climates, you probably should have done it already, but if you haven't, you can still get onto it now. When I say in the cooler climates, I'm mainly talking about winter grass control. It's really important to get pre-emergent herbicides out for winter grass control, but look across the board to get on top of winter weeds in general. It's an important time of year to do it. The reason we do it now is whilst you can't see them just yet, weeds like winter grass can in fact can well have germinated by now. You just can't see them because they're tiny little plants and you're still mowing regularly, so they don't stand out, but they can be there. So really important, if you haven't already, to get your pre-emergence out. We obviously use and recommend Oxifert, which is a pre-emergent and a fertilizer, all combined in one. But for this time of year, let's ignore the fertilizer component and just use it as a pre-emergent herbicide and get it out right away to get on top of some of these weeds. You do get a little bit of nutrient benefit out of it, but I guess this will lead into our next point about getting your last fertilizer application out prior to winter. Look, everyone's different. In our climate here, I always say about Easter time, which isn't that far away, is a good time to do it. Yeah, good way to remember it. So with your pre-emergence, whether you apply a granular like Oxifert or whether you spray them, either way, I think it's important to get a fertilizer application out there as well. Any general purpose NPK fertilizer is good. Everyone's a bit picky and fussy with their own fertilizer, so I'll leave the decision up to you. But get your fertilizer out, water it in. It's just really important to give your lawn a hit of nutrients before we get into winter. Anything we're missing there?
I guess the reason why you're pushing to get that fertilizer into the plant is while it's actively growing, while those soil temps are still reasonably high, it's got the best opportunity to absorb the nutrient. And then other than that, after that period, it's less likely to take in that nutrient. So this is your window of opportunity, I guess. Your slow-release granular fertilizers will certainly provide a nutrient boost for an extended period, generally up to 12 weeks. But the feed that you're getting into it right now is what's going to be key for its holding up in winter as much as it can.
If you're keen to continue fertilizing through the cooler months or as we head into winter, we'd probably suggest trying a liquid like Exceed or Lawn Kelper, just something that's going to be uptaken by the leaf, so it'll act a little bit quicker. Definitely do your granular now. Like Nath said before, it's probably the most important time of year for this. And if you're looking to keep a little kick of nutrients through the winter, look at something like a liquid like Exceed or Lawn Kelper. Now, getting into something a little bit cosmetic, but if you want to give your lawn a nice green boost heading into winter, or you might do this anyway, an application of a pigment like Colour Guard can be a really good thing to do just to keep some nice natural green colour. The reason I want to mention this now is people often wait till their lawn is fully dormant and then apply Colour Guard. You can tell you've sprayed Colour Guard. It's really obvious if you do it on a really brown, wilted leaf. So if you do get hit by dormancy really bad, you might be in Canberra, the Southern Highlands, regional New South Wales, Victoria, SA, somewhere there, and your lawn loses a lot of colour, I'd start the Colour Guard applications now. If you don't, it's like having a red wall and you want to paint it white and you put one coat of paint on. You can see it sort of gets that pinky colour. So super important to start your Colour Guard now. You might have to apply a few more times, but the result's going to be a lot better.
Yeah, and it is a pigment. It's not a paint, I guess. So you want the plant growing. Because when the plant grows, essentially that's when it absorbs the material, the Colour Guard product. You want it to absorb it, not coat it. Anything dead material is not going to absorb, and then you end up with a not as impressive a result. And Colour Guard at the end of the day is about getting a lawn that looks nice and green during a period when it wouldn't normally look that way. It's a lot more environmentally responsible way to go about it, rather than trying to put a heap more water into a lawn and looking at other factors, or flogging it with a heap of fertilizer or iron-based products. Colour Guard gives you the colour that you need without having to waste a heap of money, and it's the easiest way to go about it.
And just while we're talking Colour Guard, just be diligent when you are applying that. It is a pigment, so if you get it on your fence, if you get it on your driveway, just look to wash it off straight away because it will stain. And just a little tip as well, because it's a pigment, once the leaf absorbs all it can, the rest will just sit on the outside of the leaf because the grass can only absorb so much. We recommend, 12, 24 hours after you apply, just get the sprinkler out on the lawn and just wash all that excess pigment off. If you've got a white poodle, you don't want a green one. So it's really important to get on and do that. I think that's it for what we wanted to talk about product and practice-wise for getting your lawn ready for winter. Just something to finish off on here. I guess a misconception is that now's the last chance you've got to install lawns. That's not true. You can install warm season turf varieties right around Australia all year round. If you do want it to establish by winter, we're the 23rd of March today. I think it's important to get something done in the next 2 to 3 weeks in most areas of Australia. If you want to get some roots down and you want to be using it prior to winter, in saying that, you can install all year round. I'm just saying the further we get in now, if you don't do it in the next 2 to 3 weeks, you might have a fully established lawn prior to winter, so you've got to be sort of still caring for it.
Yeah, some grasses will establish a lot quicker than others. That's a consideration as well. Certainly nothing wrong with grass sitting dormant on the top of the surface and not establishing its roots too greatly during the winter period. It's a lot better than leaving a bare surface of dirt where you're going to have issues. It looks a lot better, for sure, and it saves you waiting to that spring period, and you're going to get some level of establishment, so you're going to be ahead of the 8 ball once it warms up again in spring.
Absolutely. If you're looking to install a turf variety, you can jump on our website. You can get up to 3 quotes straight away, or you can pop in your postcode and find your local supplier. So that's just about it for our episode today. Thanks for listening if you have, and if you've got a suggestion for a topic or perhaps someone to interview, someone you'd like to see on the podcast, jump on our socials and flick us a message, and I'm sure we'll be doing our best to get them on board and also answer any questions that you may have. If you've got questions and you want answers to them now, ask us a question on Facebook, right? Leave a comment on YouTube, or give us a call, flick us an email, jump on our website. We've got a bunch of different stuff to help answer any of your questions. But we appreciate your time, Nath. Thanks for joining us again.
Joe.
And all your knowledge and input. And we'll be back soon with some more lawn information. Thanks, everyone.